We all hear about the upsides of being bilingual, right? Better jobs, travel, it sounds impressive.
Definitely.
But today, we're going to look at the other side of the coin. We're diving into the potential consequences based on the material you shared.
Exactly. And it's not about downplaying the benefits. It's more about exploring, well, what really happens cognitively? What's the impact on our well-being when we're constantly managing different languages?
Okay.
So our mission today is to unpack these complexities using the article, The Consequences of Bilingualism, to give you a, let's say, richer picture.
Okay, so the first thing that jumps out is that bilingualism isn't just knowing two sets of words. It's this ongoing, pretty intense mental juggling act, managing two whole systems.
Absolutely. And the cognitive load involved is, well, it's significant. Think about it. Your brain isn't just storing words. It's actively managing two sets of grammar rules.
Right.
And it's constantly having to suppress one while using the other. The Smith et al. Survey really highlighted this. People find juggling sentence structures challenging. It takes real mental resources.
It's like running two different operating systems at the same time.
Precisely. And it's not just a feeling of being busy either.
Yeah, I saw that Jones and Lee research found a link between fluency in multiple languages and feeling more overwhelmed by stimuli. That seems like a big deal.
It really does. And if you connect the dots, this constant mental exertion, it isn't free. The article suggests it can actually contribute to things like stress, anxiety, even negative psychological states, which, I mean, it makes a certain kind of sense, doesn't it? Your brain's always making these micro decisions holding back one language.
Yeah, it does, which leads to this really key point about cognitive rest. The researchers are basically saying our brains need a break, like dedicated downtime from this linguistic workout.
And that begs the question, what does cognitive rest even look like for a bilingual person?
Right.
Well, professionals suggest things like being really mindful about when and why you're switching languages, almost like consciously slowing it down, or dedicating time to just immerse yourself in one language. That can apparently be very helpful. And maybe, obviously, general stress reduction stuff helps the brain recharge, too.
Because the implication is, if you don't get that downtime, the consequences could be quite serious.
Yeah, the article hints at more than just feeling tired. Things like increased anxiety, trouble focusing properly.
Which can affect everything else.
Totally. And even potentially a higher risk of burnout.
And what are the long term? Does it mention anything there?
It does touch on that. The idea is that this constant high-level demand, if there's not enough recovery time, could possibly strain our executive functions over the years.
You mean things like planning, switching tasks?
Exactly. There's higher-level skills. There's even a suggestion it might potentially accelerate age-related cognitive decline if that balance isn't there. It's a serious consideration.
Okay, this is fascinating because the article also brings up arguments that kind of push back against the purely positive narrative we usually get about bilingualism.
Right. It acknowledges that some researchers are asking, is all this constant mental gymnastics really always beneficial?
The cognitive fatigue idea.
Exactly. The argument there is that maybe this constant juggling doesn't just make you smarter overall, as is sometimes claimed. It could potentially lead to a kind of mental overload.
Making it harder to process things efficiently in either language.
That's the idea, yeah. It's thinking about the brain having finite resources,
And then there's language interference. The idea that suppressing one language might slow you down in the other.
The theory is that constantly inhibiting one language system while using another might actually make retrieving words or processing sentences a bit slower in both compared to monolinguals.
Interesting.
And we also shouldn't forget the sociocultural angle the article raises.
Ah, yes. Tell me about that.
Well, it suggests some individuals might feel maybe a diluted sense of identity, or perhaps not feeling fully at home in any single linguistic or cultural group.
Like being caught between worlds linguistically.
Kind of, yeah. It makes you think about where someone's true sense of belonging lies, both in language and culture.
So pulling this all together, the main takeaway seems to be that bilingualism, while amazing, involves some pretty significant cognitive demands and potential consequences we need to be aware of.
That's it, exactly. The article really emphasizes the complexity. It's not just learning a skill, it's the ongoing mental work of managing it.
Right.
And understanding these potential challenges is, well, it's crucial for bilingual individuals to maybe take steps to protect their cognitive well-being.
But we should also say the article doesn't dismiss bilingualism at all. it still recognizes how incredible it is, the effort involved.
Oh, absolutely. It highlights the brain's amazing adaptability. It just points out that this adaptability, this constant linguistic juggling, comes with certain demands. It requires real mental energy.
And knowing about the potential downsides helps people manage it better.
Precisely. It empowers informed choices about language use and prioritizing that cognitive rest we talked about.
Okay, so let's recap. We've dug into these potential consequences of bilingualism, the mental juggling, the absolute need for cognitive downtime, and some counterarguments to the idea that it's only beneficial. And this whole conversation stems from the material you sent us.
Yeah, we hope this deep dive gives you a perhaps more rounded view of what managing multiple languages actually involves, whether that's your own experience or you're just curious.
Definitely food for thought. And that leads to a final question for you to maybe mull over. Knowing about these cognitive demands, how could we, as societies or individuals, better support multilingual people's well-being?
Or maybe, does understanding these potential consequences change how we think about the value of bilingualism or even how we approach learning languages ourselves?
Lots to think about there.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into your submitted material.